Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Hasbro. Woke toy company Hasbro killed as massive layoffs hit 20% of the company. 20% is an extremely high number of layoffs, especially when they just laid off 800 people earlier this year. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. Coming from Cosmic Book News, Hasbro laying off 1,100 more people amid what they call market headwinds. From the New York Times, Mr. Potato Head brand goes gender neutral. Wonder if this had something to do with it. Oh, this had a lot to do with it, and we will get into that in more detail. From the Wall Street Journal, Mr. Potato Head isn't going away. Meet the new Potato Head family. Hasbro is dropping Mr. from the brand name and rolling out an inclusive family toy set, but will keep Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head characters. This is from 2021, so people were really confused. Even the Associated Press was confused. Mr. Potato Head drops the Mr. sort of. So who's focusing on this? Who's working on this when all they're supposed to be doing is making great toys? They own Wizards of the Coast. They own Dungeons and Dragons. Yes, they own Mr. Potato Head, Monopoly, My Little Pony, G.I. Joe, and they have licenses with all the major companies. At the time, they were focusing on being a little bit too woke. They were getting awards like this: Best Places to Work for LGBT Equality in 2022, 100% woke score. Disney's on this list as well, of course, but hundreds of companies are on this list. 842 businesses are on this list. At the same time, they got distracted with this. Hasbro buys Entertainment One for $4 billion. And when they bought this company, it was a successful company. They had Peppa Pig. They had other programming like Naked and Afraid. It was a bold move for Hasbro to make, but of course, when you do things like this, you have to actually focus on them and you have to work on what the consumer actually wants, not get into diversity fantasies about what people want. And of course, we'll get into that later. So in 2019, they spent $4 billion to buy this production company, Entertainment One. And now in 2023, at the end of this year in 2023, they'll be closing their deal to sell the library assets for $500 million to Lionsgate. That's a $3.5 billion loss. Marvel was bought for $4 billion. Couldn't they have just bought Marvel or something else good and made the kind of content and made the kind of toys that people actually wanted? They could have done that, but that wouldn't have satisfied the Diversity Equity Index. We also have to go over this, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Report for 2021 to 2022 from Hasbro. It really tells the whole story of how they lost their focus on just producing good content. The one good thing is that with all of these layoffs happening, they've got to be a lot of the woke employees. They can't be continuing to do this, losing around 2,000 people in the course of 1 year for a company with 6,000 employees and shutting down one of their major office complexes. I mean, at some point, you have to start to realize maybe this woke stuff is not really working out for us. In addition to a $3.5 billion loss on the sale of E1. If they didn't know what to do with the production company anymore, and they're basically just selling it for scrap and liquidating it, that's fine if they have no idea what to do. Companies make mistakes, but that is a pretty big mistake. Let's look at Hasbro's stock over the past 5 years. It's down 42%. Year to date, it's down 22%. And why wouldn't it be? The company's completely lost its focus. Hasbro is a $6.76 billion company right now. Used to be a bigger company a few years back, but when you lose 43% of the value of the company, you go basically from being a $10 billion company to a $6 billion company. If only they would have just focused on making good toys and giving opportunities to their employees who actually earn those opportunities. During the holidays is when sales are best for toy companies. Hasbro has announced, though, it's laying off 1,100 more workers, which is in addition to the 800 people laid off from earlier in 2023, making up now about 20% of its global workforce. 30% if you combine all the layoffs over the last year now. Hasbro has licenses for Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, Transformers, G.I. Joe, Nerf, Monopoly, Potato Head, used to be Mr. Potato Head, My Little Pony, Play-Doh, and more. The market headwinds we anticipated have proven to be stronger and more persistent than planned. While we're confident in the future of Hasbro, the current environment demands that we do more, even if these choices are some of the hardest we have to make, said CEO Chris Cox in an email to employees. Yes, these are the guys that made Ms. Monopoly. The news shouldn't be that surprising, as all of the aforementioned brands haven't been performing as well as compared to the past. The Disney movies have been failing at the box office. Disney CEO Bob Iger confirmed they are pulling back on both Marvel and Star Wars, so as those IPs suffer, that translates to other markets. If you are a toy company and you spend millions of dollars trying to make Marvel and Star Wars toys and sell them, but nobody's excited about the Marvel and Star Wars toys you're making, well, you got a problem. The toy company fails and the intellectual properties fail. This is why Ike Perlmutter tried to tell Bob Iger, you cannot take the Marvel characters and change them around in certain ways that make the toys unattractive. Because when the toys are unattractive, the intellectual property becomes worthless. Hasbro has also found itself in the hot seat with questionable changes to classic products, including the gender-neutral Mr. Potato Head, a woke Ms. Monopoly game where the women make more money than the men, and Toy Story's Bo Peep, who gets rid of her dress in favor of being an independent woman with a fierce new outlook on life. Now, this is the same company that put out a diversity, equity, and inclusion report for 2021 to 2022. I wish I could tell you this is the only company with these kinds of ridiculous reports. It isn't the only company. A lot of them are doing this. We will not do the whole report. I don't know if any of us could take that, but we will go over certain sections. Here's a statement that gives you an idea of what Hasbro has been focusing on rather than making money and making toys over the past few years. From Bryony Boyer, Senior Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Multicultural Strategy. At Hasbro, we're committed to fostering a culture where our team members are valued, respected, and empowered to bring their most authentic selves to work every single day. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is not just an ESG strategy or a team within the HR department. It is part of an integrated approach that spans across our entire business and adjusts and grows as we listen carefully to the needs of our company and stakeholders. While, of course, they're listening to their needs of their company and their stakeholders, they're now having to let go a good 1/3 of them over the last year. This is a collapse. In addition to building an inclusive culture that, of course, can no longer exist if the inclusive employees lose their jobs. Our goal is to ensure our consumers and fans see themselves reflected and included in our products and experiences. In the past few years, we've taken concrete steps to drive diversity, equity, and inclusion progress, including setting 2025 goals for growing female representation and increasing racial and ethnic diversity in our workforce with underlying KPIs. KPI is a numerical scoring code. 5%, 10%, 50%. It's putting numbers to a business process. By 2025, we aim to achieve 50% female representation in leadership roles globally, 25% racial and ethnic diversity in our workforce. And you know what? With the layoffs, maybe they'll have that. Layoffs are not uniform. It's not like you go and you take an office and you say, okay, we're going to lay off 1/3 of all the employees. We've got 30 people working here, so we're going to get rid of those 10 people, and then it's equally distributed. There's no way to really do it that way because business operations require that a certain number of people do a certain number of things in certain places, but you can't, for example, have a layoff and have 5 employees somewhere and say, we're going to lay off 1/3 of them. Well, you can't lay off 1/3 of 5 people. Doesn't really work out evenly. And also, it's obvious that certain departments they have are completely nonsensical and worthless, and those are the departments they're going to have to get rid of. Goal setting focuses our efforts and drives progress across our workforce, operations, and brands and play experiences. We also believe leadership has a crucial role to play in DEI. We are proud to share that as of May 2022, our board of directors is 54% female compared to the national average of 2021 of 27% of boards and 15% racially and ethnically diverse. And on our executive leadership team, we have 44% female representation. It's a little bit hard not to notice that as these skin color gender priorities go higher and higher in their workforce, the company continues to have to lay off more and more people. Why is that? Are they just that effective? Or is the company just being destroyed? We hold our leaders accountable for driving DEI progress. In 2021, we were one of the first public companies in the US to begin including DEI objectives in our executive individual annual incentive plan modifiers. We believe rewarding for performance goes beyond just business performance. Well, then how do you evaluate people? Based on the skin color of your employees? Seriously? Yes, it's that bad. And that's why they've lost over 40% of their value over the past 5 years. And when they do a complicated acquisition, like the Entertainment One acquisition, which would not be easy for any toy company, they're busy focused on this nonsense. And then they tell their leaders, which in their company means director or higher in terms of title, to focus on things like the skin color and gender and authentic selves of their employees. Of course, they're not able to intelligently and effectively combine an entertainment company with a toy company and make either one of them successful. The one thing they did do was they could say, well, look, how black are all the employees? How Asian are all the employees? They literally have stats on that. I'm going to show you in a second. That they were able to accomplish, but naturally, as she says, they're focused on things that go beyond business performance. I'm sure the stockholders are not too happy about it. After 24 years in marketing and licensed consumer products at the company, I have had the privilege to lead diversity, equity, and inclusion at Hasbro for the last 4 years. And look what's happened to the company in the last 4 years. Our commitment to progress, also known as self-destruction, is unwavering, and we continue to put in the work. We're proud to share this report and look forward to providing updates regarding our progress and opportunities. We are on a journey of listening, learning, and growing. Our greatest days lay ahead. Check this out. Inclusion is vital. At Hasbro, our goal is to foster a workplace where employees feel valued and have the tools, support, and resources they need to succeed. Okay, but does this person even work at the company anymore? She might. Only a third of them have been laid off. We'll have to look for the next diversity report for the follow-up. Here's an interesting program. E1 and Black Young Professionals Network Partnership. In 2022, this was just last year, the team at E1 joined BYP, Black Young Professionals Network, an organization that empowers Black professionals around the world to connect with each other and global corporations. Founded in 2016 and based in the UK, the BYP network was created to harness the power of the Black community. Well, that is terrific. You know, you can have all of the power of the Black community that you want, but of course, this program doesn't exist anymore for E1 because E1 is being liquidated for $500 million, $3.5 billion less than what they paid for it just a couple of years ago. And here's one of their favorite charts, employees by racial and ethnic diversity. They've got yellow for Asian, purple for Black or African American, light blue for Hispanic Latino, and dark blue for white people. They've been working the white people out of their company, but they're not happy with how quickly they can get rid of the white people. Literally, this is how they're operating. Here's how they've ruined Hasbro with an excessive focus on hiring people based on their skin color and gender. DEI is not just a function within our people team. It's a strategic business priority that our entire company is responsible for driving forward. We take an interlinked approach to promoting DEI throughout our entire business by giving our team members the tools to consider DEI impacts when problem solving and making decisions. They've not only incorporated it into their staff, they've not only unfairly incorporated it into their hiring and their incentive and promotion plans. They're now forcing people to make decisions based on DEI. Well, is it any wonder they've lost billions of dollars? The efficacy of our DEI priorities and initiatives intentionally depends on the entire workforce playing an active role in this work. We have the team, structures, and accountability partners in place to achieve our DEI priorities because it takes all of the team of Hasbro to make it happen. They have an entire DEI steering committee. They have DEI councils. They have executive compensation that figures in DEI as part of your incentive base. So you're paid based on how much you push this nonsense. They're tied in with the controversial Trevor Project. They're trying to build diverse and inclusive brands that obviously are not working for them. They're trying to create something called inclusive storytelling, which does not work. They've done this throughout their production studio, E1, which has now completely collapsed and is being sold for pennies on the dollar. And to give another example of how they brought their approach to inclusive storytelling to life is with a new brand, Kaya and the Kamanja Heroes. In 2021 and 2022, the Family Brands team at E1 was hired to work collaborating closely with one of the largest animation studios on the African continent to bring a new brand to life in the hopes of addressing a need for more Black female protagonists as strong role models for preschool girls. They spent millions on this. You can't do something like this on the cheap. They spent millions of dollars. Have you heard of this brand, Kaya and Kamoja Heroes? Maybe it's the biggest thing. I've never heard of it before and I've missed it. But they go and they take the DEI agenda. They do a Disney and put it into their content, lose millions of dollars on it, and waste their time and energy. Look at this. Accurately portraying the diversity of Southern African life and culture was of greatest importance. Everything from ensuring we captured local greetings to family life to the types of food eaten was considered. The team worked closely with preschool experts and talent across Africa, Europe, and the United States to ensure Kaya's storylines and characters offer the most authentic representation. And where did that turn out for them? 2,000 of their 6,000 employees fired within a year. Here's where they thought all of this was headed. At Hasbro, we are taking this dynamic company with a beloved collection of iconic brands to new heights. We have a bold DEI vision that requires us to work purposefully and diligently to position our company as a place that fosters inclusion, prioritizes equity, and celebrates diversity. A place where all employees from all different backgrounds and lived experiences can grow, thrive, and excel. As we look to the future and get closer to reaching our 2025 DEI goals, we are excited to expand upon and broaden these targets. We know that progress requires continuous reflection and improvement, and we remain focused on moving our work forward with compassion, diligence, and transparency, all at the expense of stockholders. Stockholders who've lost billions at another failing woke company. I wonder if they're going to reach their 2025 diversity goals or not. Maybe they will, and then they can completely shut down the company because there'll be nothing left. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.